So joining us this morning, Nathan Fletcher, the chair of the San Diegans United for Common Sense Immigration Reform. And we also want to welcome Lorena Gonzales from the San Diego and Imperial Labor Council. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for being here. Sure. Okay, so Nathan, what is the idea behind this group? What is this about exactly?
Well, I think immigration reform touches us all. And when you say immigration reform, people naturally just think of one thing, and that's the border. But they don't think of how it impacts our business. They don't think of how it impacts our public safety. They don't think of how it impacts workers and their wages and working conditions. And so this group, they don't think of how it impacts faith groups and religious organizations. And so this group spans all of those entities, and it's all of us coming together to agree to a set of 4 key principles and to call on the federal government to say you need to deal with this problem and deal with it now because it affects us all.
Look, we know a lot of groups come together to be able to do things, but realistically, what do you think this group can do? Like, what goals do you have that you think are actually achievable?
Well, there's a couple. I mean, I think it sends a powerful message when you see business and labor, when you see the sheriff and law enforcement and the ACLU, when you see faith-based groups from very conservative organizations to very progressive faith-based organizations, people who don't agree on anything, all come together and agree to a core set of principles. If that group can come together, then certainly our elected officials in Washington, D.C. can do the same.
Okay, speaking of coming together, Lorena, you threw your support behind Nathan and these efforts. Why did you decide to do that?
Well, on the national level, labor and business come together. Never before have they been able to agree on some of these questions that surround something that would be a comprehensive approach to immigration reform. Not only from labor's perspective, what we really want is a pathway to citizenship for the 11 million to 12 million undocumented folks who are here today, working in this country today, and unfortunately undercutting wages of American workers. So we want to fix that. At the same time, we know that business wants to fix the future flow of immigrants. We want to make sure that as the market requires, that there are enough people here to fill the jobs that are necessary, of course, with American workers filling those jobs first. So there's always been this big conflict between the U.S. Chamber on the national level and the AFL-CIO. They've been coming together, they've been trying to work it through, knowing that this is a time when if we all come together, if we decide we're not going to piecemeal this, we're going to get one big approach that maybe we can all have our needs satisfied.
Yeah, I think everybody and our friends at home would agree this conflict thing is something that we're very familiar with because we see it happening
every day,
all the time.
All the day.
So who are some of the other supporters that are a part of this? Because I mean, this is a pretty big deal. It seems like
it's a huge group. So we had business leaders that run the gamut from Paul Jacobs, the chairman and CEO of Qualcomm, to Dwayne Roth, the CEO of Connect, to Biocom and Economic Development Corporation. We had law enforcement leaders from Sheriff Gore to Chief Bejarano to Chief Lansdowne.
Wow.
The district attorney was there. We have labor leaders. We had the ACLU standing there representing civil liberty groups. We had faith-based and religious leaders from Presbyterian, from all denominations across the board that all came together and said, hey, we stand with one voice behind these set of core principles, and we're calling on our elected officials in Washington, D.C. to get it done and get it done now.
Okay, before I let you go, 5 years down the line, what do you want to see happen?
Well, I'd like to see us talking about other issues. I mean, we know what we need to do. We've been talking about this one for the last 10 years.
Right.
Let's get it done, and then let's talk about education. Let's talk about investing in K through 12 and higher education so that American kids have the skills for the jobs that